go.
Hello, Bruins fans, and welcome to episode 79 of Bruins Beat, brought to you by CLNS Media. Yes, it's CLNS Media now. We made the switch over from CLNS Radio to CLNS Media, so be sure to note that when you guys tune in to us. Also, doing the website over, it's going to be CLNS Media soon, even though it's still CLNS Radio now. So just a friendly reminder for that. I'm Mike with Jason, and no Joe again. Joe's been quite busy trying to find a house and whatnot, so me and Jason will hold it down and not worry about it. It was like old times when we first started the show with Jason and I just holding it down. But the first thing I want to talk about quickly is the Stanley Cup Finals, because obviously now the Stanley Cup Finals is now over. There is no more hockey until September, and here we go, Jason. The dog days of the summer are going to come get to us again, but hockey is officially over. The AHL ended too. So if people watch the AHL, I usually don't, but the NHL season is over. Pittsburgh is back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. Jason, what do you think? Were you bummed out? I know you were rooting for Nashville. You had Nashville. I remember it was 2-2. You were like, my prediction looks like it's going to come right, and I said, hold on, hold your horses. It's 2-2. You never know what's going to happen when they go back to Pittsburgh. I just thought, me personally, I thought Pittsburgh was going to win. I said Pittsburgh in 6 before the series. I think I said to you Pittsburgh in 7 last week, but I just thought Pittsburgh would have the experience over Nashville, and I think that seemed to play out. Jason, what are your thoughts on the Stanley Cup Finals?
Well, it's a mixed feeling. I mean, did you watch both of the games, Mike? Specifically Game 5?
Yes.
Okay, so did you see that play where Sidney Crosby got away with pushing Subban's head into the ice when he took him down?
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was overblown.
It was. It's typical hockey. I think the media kind of overblew it a bit. Crosby didn't do what any other AHLer hasn't done, tried to rub an AHL player's face in the ice. Matt Murray, gotta give him credit. He caught him out, and he stood on his head those last 2 games. You're talking about no goals in the last 2 games that he gave up. Didn't give up one. Were there some missed calls by the referees? Sure, that happens in every series. I'm not going to be too critical on the referees.
Oh, thank God. Some people are just crybabies with the referees. I
mean, yes, they missed that goal when they couldn't see the puck. It's a bad missed call, but you know what?
We talked about this when the Bruins and Ottawa series, too. The refs missed some calls.
But you know what? It's hockey. It happens. Let them play. Things happen. We all make mistakes. It was a good, hard-fought series. Nashville came out, proved that they were a hockey city, and it's very impressive.
Yeah, I thought it was very impressive, too. And like you said, Matt Murray was excellent with 2 shutouts to end the game. I thought if Nashville wants to point fingers at anyone, I think they should point it at Pekka Rinne. Because every game they played in Pittsburgh, Rinne couldn't seem to stop a beach ball. It was pathetic.
It's a decent point. Maybe the Pittsburgh playoff crowd got to him.
They might have.
He's comfortable in his own home because he got his own fans cheering for him. But you head into Pittsburgh and it's a whole entire different atmosphere. Maybe it got to him. Maybe it was kind of like which is why I compared the Stanley Cup to the Vancouver series in 2011. Yeah. The way that it kind of played out, except for that last game.
I do wish Joe was on today just for the sole fact because we were exchanging a few words on Twitter about the Sidney Crosby push to the head, like you said, and how Crosby gets away with everything. And look, I get it. Like, it looked bad, but I don't think it was as bad as people make it out to be.
Hey, Charles done it to a few players. I've seen other players do it. They all do it.
Other players do it
Go
too.
ahead. You're on the ground. You're on the ground. I got you under a saddle. I'm gonna rub your face into the ice. Whatever. It's not like he took his head. It's not like he took his. It's not like he took 2 hands and literally slammed his head against the ice like viciously. It was one of those playful taps. I didn't see anything too overly bad with it.
And Subban would do it to someone else too. 100%.
Oh, in a heartbeat.
Right, and Joe's like, he gets away with everything. You should suspend him. It's Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals. He's not getting suspended.
Joe likes to play it. I see this with Joe. No offense, Joe. I know you're going to listen to this. You like to play to the media.
Yep, and that's what he does. Oh, Sidney Crosby, he gets away with everything. He's the star player. Yeah, he is the star player. Yes, sometimes he gets special treatment, but it's because he's the best player in the world. And he showed it. He's back-to-back Conn Smythe winners. He's a 3-time Stanley Cup champion. He's the best player in the world. Yes, I get it. You might not like it, but I even said to him, he's not going to get suspended for that because It's just not going to happen. Do you remember when the Bruins played the Canucks and Brad Marchand was just using Sedin's head as like a punching bag?
Say that again?
Do you remember when the Bruins played the Canucks and Marchand was using Sedin's face as a punching bag?
Oh, yeah. Marchand, you can do a list of things Marchand has done, and it wouldn't even come close to what Crosby... And not in a bad way. I'm saying Marchand's probably a lot worse than Crosby with that head move to the Subban. Marchand's done worse.
And everyone's like, oh, I love what Marchand did. Sedin's a baby. He didn't fight back. Blah, blah, blah. Come on. He's not going to get suspended. It's the Stanley Cup Finals. It's okay. It's okay. I get it. You might not like it. You might not like what he did. You might not like Sidney Crosby. I get it. But he didn't do anything malicious. He doesn't deserve a suspension. And he doesn't even deserve a suspension in the regular season because he doesn't even really hit. So enough about... I hate when people cry about Crosby. It's like, oh, Sidney Crosby. Sidney cries, baby. Why? If Sidney Crosby was on the Bruins, everyone would love him.
I would love to have Crosby on the Bruins.
Everyone loves Marchand. Everyone loves Brad Marchand.
Everyone loves Brad Marchand that has Brad Marchand on the team. Let's rephrase that.
That's what
Everyone hates Brad Marchand unless he's on your team.
Right. All Bruins fans love Brad Marchand. Go to a Bruins game, you'll see Marchand t-shirts, you'll see Nose Face Killer, this and that. It's like everyone's all like, Brad Marchand's the best player on the Bruins. And I'm not going to argue with that. He's one of the best players on the Bruins. But if everyone else around the league hates Brad Marchand, it's the same thing. If he's on your team, you like him. If you don't, you're not going to like him. But I'm not going to sit there and trash Sidney Crosby because I don't think he did anything that bad, and I think he's the best player in the world.
And Subban wasn't even hurt. Just a little nudge and gets right back up on his feet.
Right, exactly. Like you said, Jason, you've seen people do that before. You've seen it.
Oh, I've seen it all the time.
Right. It happened, like you said, Chara's done it. I'm sure other players have done it too. That's not suspension worthy. Yes, you might not like it, but like you said earlier,
it might be penalty. It might be like a 2-minute penalty worthy if he gets caught, but he didn't get caught. Let it go.
No, he got a penalty, but he got a 2-minute penalty.
Okay, so yeah, he got his due. Let it go.
Yep, exactly. Were you bummed out that Nashville didn't win though because you picked them?
No, you know what? It was a hard-fought series. I will give it off to Matt Murray. Say that right now. Matt Murray played spectacular. He's a really good goaltender. Gotta give Pittsburgh credit for making the coaching change last year to make it back-to-back. That Mike Sullivan's done a fantastic job with this team. I can't, Nashville played great. Nashville will make it back there. I'm not overly upset about it.
Yeah, Nashville definitely played great, and I hope they are back next year as well. It was just great for city. It was great for their city, great for the NHL, I think, too. They really capitalized on some, marketing opportunities with country music.
Nashville is definitely a hockey city, too.
Yeah, now, just from watching the Stanley Cup Finals, it made me seem like a place that I definitely want to go visit sooner rather than later. Do you know what I mean? It's a place that I want to go look and watch a game and enjoy the city. And I get it. I know every game you go to is not going to be like the Stanley Cup Finals or a playoff game, but now it's up there on places I would like to travel to and watch a Bruins play there, or even just go and watch the Predators play.
It would be on my list of games to go to if I could get a Bruins Predators game and take myself on a mini road trip. You're absolutely right about that.
Right, I think the NHL did a great job capitalizing on that. And Nashville, like you said, showed its true colors in great hockey city, and I thought it was great. And it's great for the NHL to get more marketing opportunities. But like you said, I think Nashville will be back too. They seem to have a really great team.
You know what? Keep in mind, Nashville lost Ryan Johansson too.
Right, I think that could have been a huge difference in the series too. Their best center.
And Ryan Ellis in the end.
Oh yeah, in the end, yeah.
So it was a hard-fought series. Nashville fought hard. They didn't make any excuses. I have yet to hear any excuses come from them. It was a hard-fought series.
Yeah, that's nothing more you can ask for. Like you said, a hard-fought series.
And no excuses.
Nope.
No complaining, no blaming the refs, no excuses. Not one player made a comment about that missed goal call with Matt Murray earlier in that 6th game. I didn't hear one thing about it. Other than media talking about it. But it happens.
The other thing I'll say about that is, Nashville didn't score again for the rest of the game. I get it. It was a bad call in Game 6. They blew the whistle too early. The referee was out of position. But, Nashville didn't score the rest of the game. They had 4 power plays to score. They didn't. They had opportunities to score. They didn't score. You can't blame that one single play because you can't win a game only scoring one goal. It's highly unlikely.
Exactly. And I'm going to digress a tiny bit. I think it's hilarious how much the NHL hates Gary Bettman. I didn't realize it because I'm so used to seeing everybody hating on Goodell, but I didn't realize how much the NHL really hates Gary Bettman.
Oh, yeah. He's one of the most hated guys.
You still there?
Yeah, sorry. He's one of the most hated guys out there. Gary Bettman. Everyone boos him.
Which is interesting because I saw, Felger and Mass, or someone was doing this thing where they were comparing, it was on CSNE, Boston Sports Tonight, they were comparing who's the most hated general manager in the world, Bettman or Goodell, and it's definitely Bettman.
I think 100% Bettman. He does just so many things that people don't like. They've already had a few strikes, as you've known. As we've all known as hockey fans, that the NHL will just go on strike occasionally because Bettman's a loser. I mean, now he's talking about not going, sending his players to the Olympics.
That's already a done deal, though. They're not going to the Olympics.
Well, that's what I mean, and people don't like that.
I don't blame them.
So it's another reason why people get upset with Bettman. I mean, yeah, he's by far the most hated guy out there, and he deserves to be, rightfully so. But I'm just upset now that hockey's over. There's going to be no more hockey until September. And right now we'll be fine because there's plenty of rumors and speculation out there, especially with the Vegas team being announced a week from today. The protected list will be announced this weekend. I mean, the trade rumors are going to be coming out. Free agency. So these next couple of weeks will be great. Next month or so will be great for. And
Bruins Beat will be on top of this. We'll be consistent about it. Whereas this is going to be, we're going to be paying attention.
Absolutely.
For
sure. We'll definitely be paying attention. 100%. But the first thing I want to touch on is David Pastrnak, and I know we got to it a little bit last week. How the Bruins' number one priority should be to sign David Pastrnak, and I think it's good that the Bruins sign him. And I heard a rumor. I don't know how true it is, but that it was going to be around $5.5 million contract, which I think would be a great deal for the Bruins. If you can get him in $5 million, 5.5 for the player that he is, I think that would be great because now you're seeing some of these players ask for more money. Like I know Sean Monahan got $6 million. So if you can get Pastrnak for 5 mil, 5.5, then that would be a great signing by Don Sweeney.
Yeah, no, I think the Bruins are gonna get it done. You're hearing the rumors pick up as the season's ended. That deal looks like it's gonna get done probably some point in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, it seems trending in the right direction.
It seems like it's trending in that direction. You're not hearing anything negative coming out of it. You're not hearing David Pastrnak holding out or anything like that. You're not hearing anything negative. It's all positive. So
right, even some of the beat guys like Joe Haggerty and other guys around were even saying that this will be wrapped up in no time. You know what I mean? Like
like right now, I'm guessing at this point they're at the point where they have some kind of an agreement. They're just trying to get out the particulars.
Right, that's usually sometimes what happens as well. They don't announce the deals as of yet. Just trying to hammer down, like you said, the particulars about like some of the clauses in his deal. But I mean, $5.5 million, I think for a couple of years would be great. So that's what. Excuse me.
I don't know if you heard, but I had heard rumors off and on of maybe making it a 2 or 3 year deal and then giving him his next contract after that. Therefore, giving him the time to improve and still earn even more.
Oh, I did not know that. That's a good piece of information. But still, even if it's still 2 or 3 years, if you can sign him for 2 or 3 years for $5.5 million, that's still a great deal, I think. And
It's a smart deal. If Don Sweeney and Pastrnak can agree to that, and Pastrnak can continue to improve, it's almost like it's a team-friendly deal. Pasternak's giving them a team-friendly deal so he can prove himself. Still.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, he still needs to get better. That's all.
But can't fault it. I like Pastrnak as a kid. I think he's very mature for his age. And we'll be excited to see that deal get finished.
Especially because he had a breakout season this past year, which I thought was great. I was expecting him to have a breakout season, and he seems to be one of the go-to guys going forward. And he should be, rightfully so. He's one of the young pillars of this team going forward, and I think the Bruins will be able to lock him up. I mean, he obviously admitted he wanted to be in Boston. I mean, there's like I don't know if you saw this, but he's like goofing off with Torrey Krug on Twitter about the Bruins goal, the best goal of the season and stuff. So I think he wants to be here. I don't think he's going anywhere.
He seems like he's about his teammates. I did actually hear about that actually. But he seems like he's about his teammates. I've been hearing all over media that the Boston Bruins don't realize how good their future actually is. That what we see and what they see are two different things. That I think from a media standpoint, the Bruins are fast-tracking it a lot faster than they realize with their players and their team chemistry.
We'll have to see by that. Also, there was a report that Dominic Moore wants to re-sign with the Bruins. He is a unrestricted free agent, He only signed a one-year deal last year. He was last year with the Bruins. He's getting up there in age, but you know what? I'm usually against Bruins signing players that are older. I've been in the camp of, let's move into the younger phase, get the younger players up here. But I think re-signing Dominic Moore wouldn't be a bad idea for the Bruins. They've always had, we saw it last year in the playoffs too. He was one of the most effective Bruins in the playoffs. He was playing regular shifts. I think he would be a great leader for the younger players on the fourth line. You stick him on the fourth line, put him in a penalty kill role, kind of like they did last year until, the playoffs came and Dominic Moore was playing better. I am all for the Bruins re-signing Dominic Moore. I never thought I would say this last year or when they signed him. I think the Bruins should sign him for one more year.
And not often that I agree with you on bringing back an older player, but he's a good, serviceable player. I would definitely sign him because he's going to get an easier contract, like $1 million or something like that. I would bring him back for the year. He played really serviceable last year, especially on the fourth line. Was a really good leader for some of the younger players. I would play him with a little bit of a lesser role, but I would definitely re-sign him.
Yeah, I think he would just be a great fit with the younger players you have coming up, like a JFK or like an Austin Zarnik or players on like DeBrusque. Some of the younger players that could use a little bit of more of a leadership role to kind of
develop into NHL maturity.
Right, and I'm not
the
saying
mindset.
that. Right, I'm not saying that they don't have leaders already, because they do with, Backus and Bergeron and Chara and stuff. It's just, I think Moore would be more of a vocal guy, and I think he had a great year. I felt
like Dominic Moore fit in really well with the team. It was, for me, I would definitely re-sign him.
Yeah, I don't see the harm in giving him one more year, especially because what he brought to the team last year. Like you said, you just play him in a little bit lesser of a role, and I think he'd be fine.
No, I agree. You're not going to hear me argue that one. I completely agree.
But no, those are just some of the rumblings around some of the Bruins
and
signing.
For Bruins fans who don't know, the Zach Ronaldo era is officially over. Hallelujah.
Yeah, I don't think people are holding their breath about that. I mean, that was probably the worst trade Don Sweeney's had so far in his Bruins tenure, I should say. That trade was terrible, absolutely garbage. Zach Ronaldo brought nothing to the table, and I think everyone's okay with them moving on from Zach Ronaldo. I don't think anyone's going to shed a tear.
No, I'm not shedding a tear.
It was long overdue. I mean, he was in Providence all last year because he couldn't even make the big club, which goes to show you what the Bruins thought of Zach Ronaldo. So that was definitely a loss in Don Sweeney's collection of trades and signings so far with the Bruins. See you later, Zach Ronaldo. Good riddance. Hardly knew you. So those are some of the... Go ahead.
Some other news, I know we're going to bring this up at some point, but Kevin Dean, the Providence Bruins head coach, led the Bruins to the AHL Eastern Finals, I should say. He's now officially the Bruins defensive coach. Yeah,
they had an opening there, just obviously because Bruce Cassidy went from assistant coach to head coach, so they had an opening for a coach. I mean, it makes sense. Promote from within. Obviously, Bruce Cassidy has enough familiarity with Dean. Some of the younger players love familiarity with Dean. Like you said, they led Providence to the Eastern Conference Finals when they weren't even expected to go that far. I think it will be instrumental in helping some of the younger players that he helped in Providence, especially with Cassidy. So I have no problem with it. I think it's a really smart move by the Bruins to do that.
And I'm going to comment on that still. I do think it's a smart move. I think it helps the Bruins for the future. I think the Bruins are building the young core with the new coaching regime, and I think it's going to work.
Yeah, I think it would work too, especially, like you said, he coached some of the younger players in Providence, and, I mean, it just made sense. The Bruins needed to hire another coach, especially with Bruce Cassidy being hired full time. So there you go. Give him someone that he's familiar with, and that's the players are familiar with. I'm glad that they did it from within instead of going outside the organization, because sometimes outside the organization, especially with you trending more towards youth, it could be more difficult to adjust to a different coach.
Correct.
But those are just some of some of the signings and the rumors that are going on with coaches and they're signing their own players. There's also been some speculation on some trades, Jason. I don't know if you've been keeping up with this, but Don Sweeney's been opening to trading his his first round pick, I should say, not number one overall, the 18th overall pick. This week, this draft's supposedly supposed to be a weak draft. And one of the players the Bruins have been linked to is Minnesota Wild defenseman Jonas Brodin. Jonas Brodin, obviously the Minnesota Wild are going to have a tough time keeping everyone with the expansion draft coming up and cap problems. They can't keep all of their defensemen. There's been Jonas Brodin's been out there, and there's been Matt Dumba. The Bruins haven't been linked to Matt Dumba, but Matt Dumba's also supposedly being rumored around there as well. I think if the Bruins can trade their first round pick and get a player of the caliber of Jonas Brodin, I think they should do it.
In a heartbeat, you don't think twice about it. The Minnesota Wild is going to have to get rid of one of those players. I've heard they want to keep Dumba, so Brodin's on that list. I would throw in Ryan Spooner on that first round pick for Brodin. Brodin seems like he's a serviceable young guy. He's worked with Ryan Suter. I would throw in.
Brodin's pretty young too. People don't understand that he's only 23 years old and he averages 20 plus minutes a night.
So I would throw in that first round pick in Spooner for Brodin.
Yeah, something along the lines like that. Obviously, I think the Bruins do need a left shot defenseman. They really do, and they only really have Krug and Chara. Obviously, Chara's up there in age, as everyone knows. Last year, they didn't really have a third left shot. I mean, they were playing Kevin Miller and Colin Miller, or Kevin Miller and someone else. I mean, they had Lyles and Joe Morrow, who obviously aren't anything great. Jonas Brodin's not very offensive, but I don't think the Bruins need an offensive defenseman. They're going to have Charlie McAvoy. They're going to have Torrey Krug. Those are two of your offensive defensemen. You don't need Jonas Brodin to play like an offensive defenseman. You already have that. You need someone to groom behind Chara to be a shutdown guy. I think this would be a great addition if the Bruins do it. If they, like you said, 18 Spooner and maybe a defensive prospect that isn't going to be able to crack the Bruins lineup anytime soon, and I think that would be a great deal. And I just don't think people should expect him to light the world on fire offensively, but I think he can come in here and kind of be like a Seidenberg. Remember how good Seidenberg was when the Bruins got him? He was more of a defensive guy, shutdown role, didn't do too much offensively. I think he could be just like Seidenberg.
Well, that's why I'm building off it. You look at his numbers, he might not show you the numbers, but he'll show you the skill on the defensive side. You know, the media, when I was listening to the media, and I've spent a lot of time listening to CSN and E because I hate SportsCenter and anything like ESPN. They said that he played with Suter. He has experience from Ryan Suter, who's one of the best defensemen in the NHL. That's a no-brainer. You got a good young guy that's serviceable. I would make that deal in a heartbeat. I think that rumor is probably true, even though they're not saying it because they're trying to keep it quiet until the protected list comes out and the expansion draft comes out. Because I think that there's a lot of things in the work that we don't realize.
Yeah, there's definitely some other stuff that could be happening, but I think Brodin, this would be a step in the right direction for the Bruins. They get younger on defense, and they groom someone behind Chara. Like I said, there's nothing more important to me personally than the Bruins getting a left shot defenseman to help out this blue line. We saw it last year. Even though the defense played a lot better last year than my expectations were for them, you know that the Bruins defense isn't great. They're not great. They need improvement, and I think that would be a great improvement on the left side to help out this team. You could pair him with McAvoy and have McAvoy do what he wants and have Brodin be the defensive guy with him. You can have Torrey Krug play with McQuaid or Miller, and then Chara and Carlo, and then boom, your defense looks solid going forward.
And that's what you hope, at least on paper. It all depends on how the season plays out, of course. But on paper, it seems like it would be a good move.
Definitely seems like it would be a good move. There's also speculations about, obviously, with the Colorado Avalanche blowing it up over there.
You've heard Landeskog's name,
Landeskog and Matt Duchene still. Rumblings about that. If I'm the Bruins personally, I like the defense better than offense, But say they can't get Brodin, right, Jason? Say something happens where the Brodin deal falls through, and they decide to switch gears to the Avalanche and get an offensive guy. I am way more excited about Matt Duchene than I am Gabriel Landeskog. And I don't think Bruins fans understand how good Duchene is. And I know he sometimes doesn't have the great stats, but he's played on Canada's Olympic team. He's won gold medals with Canada. He's the leader of that team. I think Matt Duchene is way better than Landeskog. I think Matt Duchene has more skill. I think he's faster. I think he's a better player overall than Landeskog. And I get it, Landeskog can rough up people in the corner, and he's more of a heavier style play. But I think Matt Duchene is better. He has more skills, and I think he would help the Bruins out tremendously, get more versatile on offense, and help with the goal scoring. I don't think Landeskog is going to come here and pot, say, 25, 30 goals, where I think Matt Duchene can.
Okay, decent points on both sides, Mike. I agree with both of them. But Duchene will be the harder deal to make, too. When you try to think of what that deal could possibly be. I mean, you're obviously throwing in the 18th pick. Probably throwing in Spooner or something like that somewhere to Brodin. That's still a tough deal to make. I have no clue what Colorado's even looking for.
No one knows what they're looking for. I guess obviously during the trade deadline they were asking for way too much.
They want Brandon Carlo. I wouldn't trade Brandon Carlo for him. That's the thing. Would you?
Yeah, for Duchene, I would think about it. For Landeskog, no.
Okay.
I'm not.
Fair.
I don't want to give him up just to give him up. But I mean, if you can get, I like Duchene personally. I think Duchene would fit great with Krejci. I think Duchene would fit great with Bergeron and Marchand. I think you could put Duchene with anyone, and he'd be great fit for the Bruins team.
And say there's multiple. Now saying I was just thinking of this just now. It's off the tip of my tongue. You make the deal for Brodin, and then you turn around and go get Duchene, and they ask you for Brandon Carlo. Well, at that point, you have a defenseman you can trade. You might as well go for it.
That's a different story, Jason. That's what I think. If you can find a way to make the Brodin trade and
maybe get Landeskog or Duchene.
Now we're talking. And I think if you get Brodin, you give up Carlo. Yes, I think it kind of stinks, but at the same time, it's like
you got Brodin to replace him.
Right, and they still have up and coming young defensemen that are still in the system too, like Jeremy Lauzon and Zaboral.
Which you're gonna have to make room for at some point. So at that point, Brandon Carlo's gonna be a good young defenseman. It would be a possible move to make. At that point, I would consider trading Carlo for Landeskog or that kind of player of that caliber. That's a whole different realm of possibility.
Right, and like you said, if you get Brodin and you could get Duchene, I think we'd be talking. I think that would be a great offseason for the Bruins. I mean, no one's expecting them to do that, but obviously having fun on the show and talking about some of the rumors that are out there, I think that would be a fantastic get for the Boston Bruins. Fantastic. I don't think you could ask for anything more.
You couldn't, but it's fun. It's fun to talk about. Do I see it happening? I see Brodin more likely than Duchene or Landeskog, if I'm predicting it.
Yeah, I do too. But like you said, I'm not giving up Carlo just for nothing. Like, I'm not. If the Brodin deal happens, then I would maybe consider Carlo. But I'm not actively shopping Brandon Carlo. I think the Bruins have Carlo and McAvoy going forward on the right side. They have Torrey Krug on the left. So that's why I think if they can get Brodin, they can have two left-shot defensemen and two right-shot defensemen going forward that are young with promise, and then you just gotta hope maybe one of Zaboral and Lauzon pans out, or O'Gara, or something along the lines like, or Colin Miller even, something along the lines
like that. We hope, because like I say, we're hearing so much.
There's so much going on.
Because you just brought up Colin Miller, and I was just about to go say, we still don't know who Vegas is going to go after. Is it Colin Miller? Is it Kevin Miller? The possibility that I've heard that, Mike, here's what's funny. You and I might be on the same page here, which is why I'm interrupting you. I want to get there first. I've heard Colin Miller is less of what McPhee is looking for. The Bruins could leave him unprotected to risk it.
To risk it? Yeah, there's also, I don't think there's nothing been linked with the Bruins, but Vegas can also make deals. And I saw a report today on TSN that was saying that the NHL is telling all GMs to keep quiet all the trades they have going on with Vegas because they want to be able to announce the team next week. which I think would be great. Obviously, you don't want anything being leaked because then you can see who Vegas is getting for their team. The Bruins don't seem to have been linked to a trade with Vegas, but the Bruins still have time to maybe do so, but and try and get them to pick someone else. But I mean, it's an interesting point because I did see that too. That they have Gerard Gallant's their coach, right? The old Florida Panthers coach. He likes a more he likes a more heavier style, more physical, and he doesn't really see Colin Miller as a fit. And which brings us to the point that we've been arguing about for the past few weeks too, is who do you protect, Colin Miller or Kevin Miller? And we both think they're going to pick Kevin Miller, even though I would pick Colin personally. But Kevin Miller
this changes it because maybe by picking Kevin and leaving Colin Miller unprotected, they don't go for Colin Miller anyway.
Right, maybe they go for someone like Adam McQuaid.
Which is okay in my book.
Right, I would be okay with the Bruins losing McQuaid as well. I would be totally okay with it. I think it would be wise for the Bruins to lose, hopefully, one of McQuaid or Kevin Miller, because they both play somewhat
same
similar
style.
Same style of play, and then you have McAvoy coming into slot on the right side now. So,
you're only really going to have one slot open for the Bruins defense when you hit the offseason.
So I think if Vegas doesn't take McQuaid or Kevin Miller, that one of them will be traded anyways. That's what I think.
And I agree, which is funny because we're piecing this together here. You know, the Bruins don't have too many needs. They're going to need one defenseman, which I think they can get. They're still looking for a backup goaltender. I've heard there's some people who still like Hudobin. I don't know how that's going to play out. I don't even want to go there. And then you have offense, which is even harder to figure out because I have no clue really what exactly the Bruins need on offense.
It's going to be interesting to see who the Bruins keep on offense because they haven't asked anyone to waive their no movement clauses. So in order to not protect someone, they would have to sign off on their non-waive movement clauses. Like, for example, the Ottawa Senators. They asked Dion Phaneuf to waive his no movement clause. He said no. So now the Senators have to protect him.
Marc-Andre Fleury waived his.
Yes, and the Bruins haven't seemed to ask anyone to do so because it seems that everyone that is on their list they're going to keep. For example, Bergeron, Marchand, Backes, Krejci will all be kept. Pastrnak will also be part of that list where he'll be protected. They have 2 spots left, and I'm starting to wonder if the Bruins will keep Ryan Spooner. Just because I know that they can't announce any deals. Maybe Spooner will be part of a Vegas deal. Maybe he won't. Maybe Spooner
but they won't protect him. There's no way they'll protect him.
I think the Bruins are going to protect Spooner.
How? Why?
Because I think they'll look at it and say, we'd rather protect Spooner and trade him than get something in return than just lose him for nothing to Vegas.
Okay, and I'm
not that Spooner's great, but he has some value. I mean, he's a good power play guy. He scored 50 points 2 years ago. He had 40 something points last year. I mean, I get it. He's been frustrating in Boston, but I think he still has some value out there. He's still young. He's still a young player. He can play center. He's played a little bit of wing. I just think the Bruins are going to protect Ryan Spooner.
So you think that there's some fear that if they leave him unprotected, that they'll go after Spooner instead of a defenseman, which is understandable.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. So I'm starting to think along the lines that the Bruins would be just better off protecting Spooner and trading him, say, at the draft.
Okay, that's understandable.
Because then who do you leave unexposed? Just Jimmy Hayes, you know what I mean? It's all players that the Bruins don't really care about. And going into last year, I thought Spooner would be one of the guys the Bruins protect, but we'll see. I mean, I think it's between Spooner, Bolesky, and Riley Nash for the last 2 forward spots. So I'd protect Riley Nash and let Bolesky go. Right, that's what I was thinking too. So you protect Spooner, and if they want to take Bolesky's contract, then let them take Bolesky.
Take them. They'd be doing Bolesky a favor, and they'll probably buy out Jimmy Hayes, which is something that I've heard constantly.
Yeah, you've been hearing those rumors of the Bruins are trying to trade his contract or something. I mean, or just trying to trade him in general. It'll be interesting to see if the Bruins find a taker for him. I mean, I don't think they're going to be able to, but you never know. Sometimes teams will look at him and say, he's a big body, maybe playing for his hometown team just wasn't a fit for him. I mean, because he wasn't terrible in Florida. I just think when he came here, something happened to him. I don't know what it was, but I mean, he could have some value, but obviously I don't think they're going to get anything great. But if the Bruins can find a way to get rid of his contract, I think that would be spectacular.
It would be.
It would probably be a borderline miracle.
But I mean, You could see that Bruins doing similar to what they did with Dennis Seidenberg. I could.
Right. I mean, you're already starting to see some of the buyouts now. I mean, Dan Girardi just got bought out from the New York Rangers. So I mean, the buyout period is open. So it'll be interesting to see if the Bruins do end up buying him out. But
the thing is, I like Dan Girardi personally. The way he's played in New York, he would be a good fit in Boston.
No, he's getting older. He's 33 years old. He's a right-handed shot defenseman. I don't think the Bruins need a right-handed shot. I think they need a left-handed shot.
It's true. You got me there. I mean, a younger Dan Girardi would have been a perfect fit in Boston.
Probably a few years ago, Dan Girardi would have been, but I think now, not so much.
And also, in news that just popped up on my phone not even 2 minutes ago, Erik Karlsson just had surgery on his left foot to repair tendons, and he may miss the start of next season.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything to worry about there. I mean, we'll get to that later on. I mean, Erik Karlsson obviously did a great job in the playoffs against the Bruins, but we'll talk about more him later on this year. Obviously, heading into the season when we do like team breakdowns and division breakdowns and stuff like that. But I'm just interested to see what happens in the next coming weeks with the Bruins. Like I said, Vegas team's getting announced next week, where everyone's going to lose a player. The draft's coming up, trades are coming up, free agency's coming up. It's an exciting time to be a hockey fan right now, even though the Stanley Cup playoffs are over, and even though the hockey's done until September. The next few weeks are going to be great, and it's after these next few weeks where we're going to be sitting there being like, oh, crap, now what?
Oh, yeah, and I don't know if we mentioned it yet, that the Bruins did release their preseason schedule this week, too.
Yeah, they did. I mean, I'm not really a big fan of the preseason schedule, to be honest, just because I mean, it's preseason. Like, I'll tune in once in a while and just glimpse at it, but I mean, it's nothing.
No,
great.
So for me, I want to go to. I might save up and try to go to the 3 games at the Garden just for the heck of it. Just because it would be fun.
The preseason games?
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to check out some of the younger players, but I mean, it's preseason. You pretty much know who's going to make the team and who's not going to make the team pretty much after training camp.
So for the fans that like looking at the younger players, it's more fun to watch for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's more of a younger, the prospect type.
Yes, like development camp and all of that.
Yeah, hold on one second. Oh, sorry, I dropped my microphone. You can just delete this part out if you don't mind.
No worries.
But yeah, I think this is going to be the best part of free agency coming up. Like you said, Zach Rinaldo's gone, thank God. Also, the last thing I want to touch on quickly is Bobby Orr was giving really, really high praise to Charlie McAvoy. And I think that's a good sign that Charlie McAvoy could be something that this Bruins team has something special in. We saw the glimpses of McAvoy last season, obviously, in the playoffs with the Bruins. I think it's going to be great to watch McAvoy this year going forward. And if Bobby Orr is saying great things about McAvoy, that means he's going to be a good player.
Oh, yeah. No, McAvoy showed it in the playoffs. It's no arguing. McAvoy is going to be a fun player to watch. He stepped right in a playoff atmosphere against Ottawa and played well. He played better than what you expect from any kind of rookie in his first time ever in the NHL. He fit. You can only imagine what he's going to do with a full year next year. I'm going to make a crazy prediction that he scores at least 20 goals next year.
Maybe. But that'll do it for this week's episode. We'll be back next week to talk some of the players that get dealt from the Bruins. Not dealt, but who go to Vegas maybe. We'll be able to find some more rumors next weekend to discuss. Hopefully
we'll be prepping for the NHL expansion draft and NHL draft next week too.
Absolutely, and hopefully we can get Joe back on the show, get him all caught up, and me and Joe can probably have a nice little Sidney Crosby argument.
And I have one question. I have one question for you because I'm going to use this for my tweets after. Do we consider the Pittsburgh Penguins a dynasty? Yes or no?
As of right now, I'm going to say no. I would say the Blackhawks are one because they won 3 in 6 years. Pittsburgh, I know they won back-to-back, and it's impressive. It's the first time it's happened since, the Red Wings did it back in the 90s. I mean, they won these last 2, but they haven't won their last one for 10 years. So I'm not going to say they're a dynasty, but I think if they, make it to the Cup next year or make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and they keep going on the pace that they're going on, they'll be a dynasty. As of right now, though, I'm going to say no.
I agree with that completely. I know that you've heard that question come up, especially on the radio. I do say this straightforward. They got the makings of a dynasty if they continue the progress that they made on a consistent basis, but right now, no.
Yeah, I would say no as well. They looks like they're going to lose Marc-Andre Fleury, as you said earlier, too, as well. So we'll see.
Marc-Andre Fleury pretty much passed that goalie torch to Matt Murray. Matt Murray took his job, earned it, and kept it.
Absolutely. But like you said, we'll be back next week to discuss all Vegas possibilities. Hopefully we get Joe back, as I said earlier. You can follow myself on Twitter at MikeSlater22. You can follow Jason at JasonBuckley91, and you can follow our personal account at Bruins_Beat. And you can also go to the CLNS media site where we're going to have some off-season pieces being posted on the website about the Boston Bruins. So you can check those out as well. And then you can find us on iTunes and Stitcher, right, Jason?
Yes, you can find us on iTunes and Stitcher at Boston Bruins Beat Podcast. I will be recommitting to getting tweets done as often as possible. I know I've been lacking at it lately. I've had a lot going on. But I'm getting myself back to it this week.
Yep, we'll be back in the full swing of things for the off-season news. But we'll be back next week. Go Bruins.
Go Bruins.